All right, we are recording, so anything you say can will be used against you.
In the court of law.
Cool. Ready?
I am very ready. I'm very excited for this.
Good. So back at the ranch, we're here. We're gonna do a little unboxing, if you will, and we'll see what.
I have not seen this yet. I'm very excited. It's a chassis system for a Remington 700 action rifle, short action rifle from S2Delta. It's their RSC variant of the model of that chassis. Matt picked it up yesterday. I haven't seen it yet, so very, very excited to see this.
All right.
Whoa. Holy cow. That is a very sleek looking chassis. I'm at a loss for words. Goodness. This is really cool. It's very, just my initial impressions, I guess. How sleek it looks. It looks extremely light off the rifle. You've got a big fat barrel on there, so it's gonna make it a little heavy, but that thing is really cool looking. It's got an ARCA rail on it already. Got M-LOK compatibility to throw some additional weights or rails on it. What do you think of it?
I think it looks. I mean, aesthetically, I think it looks incredible. The fit and finish on it is just you could tell the design. Every little thing was thought about. Like Parker was saying, the compatibility and modularity, and that's really, the shooting community is really big on shooter preference. So just having all the capabilities, you get 7 on each side, 7 M-LOK slots on each side, so totally 21. ARCA rail all the way from pretty much just north or just in front of the magwell.
That is
all the way to the end.
Yeah, so before this, Matt had a little bit of a relationship with the S2Delta company, and they reached out to us, wanted us to do a video for them just on our reactions and our impressions of what this chassis is. I haven't gotten to see it until just now, so I've literally only gotten to look at pictures of it on the internet. So I've made a couple of comparisons between some former chassis that I've shot with before. I have my own personal deer rifle right here with a Macmillan rifle stock on it as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But all in all, this with the buttstock system, the grip, and the chassis, this whole setup from S2Delta costs just shy of $450, which is incredibly impressive based off of the similar chassis that are out there on the market. You're looking at $1,000 plus for their entire setup. Now, that is scalable, because one thing that's really cool about this is this buttstock system. You can fit basically any AR style buttstock that you'd like to on it, so that kind of opens up some options for you. You're not stuck with that proprietary manufacturer's buttstock. So if you already have something like that, you can purchase just the chassis, and I believe that's $300. And you can throw your own grip on there. Again, it's compatible with any AR style rifle pistol grip. They also make a variant of this called the MG Light, which is made out of magnesium, which we'll get into. That thing's pretty cool. And then so if you just want to buy just the chassis with no buttstock and no pistol grip, it's $300. With the chassis, with the buttstock and pistol grip, you're looking at $400.
Yeah, real quick, just so everyone knows who's looking at this, what comes with this package is the entire buttstock package the pistol grip, the chassis itself, not the barreled action, the optic, or the bipods. Yeah, math in public. So just for everyone wondering,
just the chassis system. And I think I misspoke. I think it's $500. The MG Light chassis is $450. The whole complete chassis with pistol grip and buttstock, that's $500. Still, when you compare it against other chassis that are out there, that's a huge price difference. So I want to go over a couple of aspects of this rifle chassis that really highlight the bang for buck for this. So the weight overall with the rifle outside of it, just the chassis, that weighs 1.7 pounds. That's just the chassis without the buttstock and with the pistol grip. With those two items, it weighs 3 pounds. Which, if you look at your competitors, either be it an MDT chassis, a Christensen Arms chassis, or a MPA chassis, those are all going to be 3 pounds, 4 pounds, 5 pounds plus. I think MPA is the heaviest at 5.5 pounds. So all of that for 3 pounds, that's a pretty heavy hitting or very light chassis. The MG Light chassis itself, made out of magnesium, is 1 pound, which is
that's insane. That's really insane. And speaking of the weight and modularity, you can slap on if you have, say you have a budget for one setup and you want to be a PRS shooter and you want the weight to help mitigate that recoil, slap on some weights. S2Delta also sells weights, so we'll put all the M-Lock weights. We'll put all that links and that stuff in the description. But if you're going out to hunt an elk, when you've been notified 20 minutes before you're supposed to hit the road,
which was me last week,
which was him, you can take off all the weights. You can really strip it down to bare bones, and it can be a fantastic hunting rifle, and you know its capabilities. So this comes at a really apt time. So just that scenario, I got a last minute phone call last week for an elk hunt the next day, so I had to drive down that night. And this is my only setup, and it's kind of a hybrid where I shoot PRS with it, but I also need to hunt with it, and it's heavy. It's I have never actually weighed it, but I think it's just shy of 14 pounds, which is not fun to go, especially in the mountains of New Mexico. That elevation.
With the elevation too. So having something that's super light, but it's also versatile, where I can use the same rifle for 2 different applications and still be competitive or accurate in both of those, that's really big for me. As much as I want to own different types of rifles and have 5 different rifles and just go pick it off the shelf, I can't afford that. I don't think many people can. So.
Not yet. Subscribe, hit like, comment, do the algorithm stuff.
Yeah, so the modularity for this is pretty insane. It also comes with the adjustability. You can raise and lower the cheek rest, and as well as the buttstock for the length of pull, which is a great thing to compare with my rifle. I had on this for a long time. I had actually that scope that Matt has, the Viper, the Vortex Razor. That's a 30 millimeter tube, and it sat a little bit low, and like that height over the cheek weld was perfect for my eye to align. But then I got this new scope for it, which is a little bit bigger. It's got a 32 millimeter tube, so it sits just a little bit higher, and I can't get any lower without getting some interference with that bolt. So that's as low as the scope can get, but I have to now raise my head and kind of float it above the buttstock. So that is where you get these aftermarket Velcro on cheek risers, which work, but they look like crap. It's an additional expense you have to have, and it kind of limits you. If you're using just a fixed rifle stock like this, you're limited to its setup and exactly what that is. I also had to add on this little custom pistol grip right here just to fit to my hand as well. I'm left-handed, so I have a little thumb rest right here, but now that's permanently on that rifle stock. So again, wasn't too happy with having to do that. and having some modularity and being able to switch this thumb rest over to the other side, raise the cheek rest based off the scope that I have, or adjust the length of pull based off of who's shooting it. That's really huge. And I can also use it for hunting because it's just as light as this rifle stock, if not lighter. So I'm pretty excited to shoot this tomorrow.
Yeah, so am I. This is going to be awesome. We're going to showcase some different things, some options that we have here at the ranch, but how this particular system is able to be set up to accommodate all the different shooting positions and everything. Because what's been popular saying lately is you rarely take a shot in the prone.
But what's really great about this is this chassis is also fully ambidextrous. There's a little notch right here that you can fill in with a piece of plastic. If you're shooting a left-handed bolt gun, you can move this thumb rest to either side. This is really, really sleek looking. One of my critiques of this was going to be the barricade stop on this isn't you don't get a whole lot of purchase like an MDT. You get a real good amount of purchase for a barricade stop. But now that I'm seeing it, I don't know if that's a critique or not. I'll let you know tomorrow once we shoot this thing. But overall, this thing is very cool. Made in the USA, right here in New Mexico. The fit and finish of it is phenomenal. I don't want to scratch it up, so we got to give it back.
Stand by.
But it looks durable enough, and it's got an Arca rail built in. This little platform back here on that buttstock is good for riding the bag, and a lot of them that you pointed out are just completely flat. Which if you have a rear squeeze bag, you got to squeeze to get some elevation or push it down. But this, since it is angled a little bit, I bet you could just kind of slide the bag a little bit and get a better final firing position out of it. So I think that's a really, I think that we'll have to ask him, but that might be an intentional design feature. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. And again, shooter preference, right? For me personally, I like that feature because now all I have to do is just move that bag back, and depending on how heavy you have your setup and how stable your platform is and all that kind of stuff is going to dictate your follow-up shot, right? So I'm now not having to think about adjusting quite as much for that follow-on shot. It should be a lot better moving.
Yeah.
Moving on for the next one. Yeah, that's great. I actually hadn't tried that yet. So I have shot with some firearms that they have the cutout and everything, but I'm not able to remove the bolt, as you just saw.
Yeah, you can.
I hadn't tried that, but you can remove that for on the fly stuff if need be. A couple other critiques. Did you want to touch on the front here? The night vision capabilities.
Yeah, that is one thing. So again, you have to, if you're really looking for a lightweight chassis, weight savings is a big deal. But for those people who are into tactical application, there is not currently an option to have a Picatinny rail up front to throw some night vision in there. So that's one thing you could say is lacking here, as well as they only make these chassis right now for the Remington 700 action. That is the most common action that's out there, I would argue. But still, if there's plenty of other people who were wanting to shoot some different action rifles. What are some other critiques? Really just the barricade stop, and it really, if it'd be nice to have the option to throw some weights back here as well in the buttstock. But because this buttstock, you can change it out with, you take your pick of an AR style buttstock. You can buy one that has that option from like XLR has one, XLT. I don't know. I'm not going to quote companies and look like an idiot, like I just did. But there are plenty of options out there that if that's really a big make or break for you, then okay, cool. Just buy the chassis and buy the pistol grip and go buy your own buttstock that you can throw some weights on there. You can obviously have plenty of weights up front. It is compatible with really any type of mag. What's the ASIC?
AICS or ACIS?
Pick your acronym again.
Not gonna do math in public.
Yep, your standard mag pull type box mag. just from my rifle to this one, fit it in there. Oh yeah, nice and easy. Paddles, big fat paddles up front on both sides for whichever left-handed shooter you are.
I am curious to see how this would hold up over time. I don't know if we can see it on. Yep. So you have all of this. You have all of this recoil coming to the rear back here. Mm-hmm. It doesn't line up directly with these pins. So I think that'll be a question for durability. We could probably do a follow-up video.
Are those metal or plastic?
That's metal.
Yeah, metal.
Yeah, that's metal. But I don't know. At this point, I'm looking for stuff to.
Right. But really, if you're comparing it to like an MDT ACC Gen 2 chassis, which is $1,000, or an MPA ESR chassis, which is $1,300 to $1,400, or a Christensen Arms MSR chassis, which is $1,200, for less than half the price, you're getting something that's lighter, has more features, a lot of these things, they're comparable in that they all have M-LOK or ARCA rail compatibility, nice vertical AR style pistol grips. A lot of those are the same. But really, if you're looking for a made in America, super light and extremely affordable, something that you can apply to both a tactical or competitive application, or for a last minute elk hunt. I would much rather have lugged this thing around the mountains for a couple of days than that big beast.
Yeah, this is way better.
Yeah. I should have brought a weight, like a scale, so we could just kind of figure it out.
I've been trying to stay away from scales
for
a while, that was intentional on my part, but
sure. But yeah, man, this is a really cool chassis, and I'm excited to go shoot this thing tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be good. I think at this point we're kind of just looking for stuff to nitpick, if anything. But right now, off the rip, there's really not a lot to negative to say. One of the cool design features actually is there's a bunch of, I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but we'll zoom in on this later. But there's a bunch of holes punched that go all the way through. That's for weight saving, and it's a design feature because those, circles are
more surface area.
There's more surface area, but they're structurally very sound.
Oh, right. Okay.
So even though you're removing material, you're not making it any weaker.
You're not compromising the integrity of the structure of it, the strength. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that. That makes sense.
Yeah. So we talked about it a little bit. So the S2Delta guys, former reconnaissance Marines, and turned to engineer. So they have the tactical knowledge, they have the tactical understanding, and they also have the engineering to apply to that. What makes the most sense? How do we do things and set things up a certain way?
Right.
So it's not just it's a good team, it's a good mixture, and there was two of them.
I'd be very curious to see how the accuracy of this holds up. So this rifle was built by a precision gunsmith here in Albuquerque called Score High Gunsmithing. And of course it's bedded into that stock, and it's not just like I took a Macmillan stock, dropped it right in that rifle and got the max accuracy out of it. I had to pay a little bit extra to get that action blueprinted and then bedded into that stock. Whereas this is entirely drop-in ready. But like you said, because they have the nuclear engineering, the precision of that, of having to have those kinds of tolerances in your machining, I would wager to bet that this thing tomorrow, even if just it being a drop-in ready from your old MPA chassis onto this, I'd be curious if you can have a zero shift.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
And one other thing I just thought of as well. So I'm by no means a gunsmith, and I was actually I was afraid to, when I was building this gun originally years ago, I was afraid to how do I how do I build it, right? And it's not an AR-15 platform where there's a bunch of, which is easy, but there's a bunch of pins and screws, and you got to line things up and hold it down while none of that. It's 2 screws. I was able to remove this this rifled action or barreled action with the optic, and I slapped it on this chassis. Once I had the chassis together, it took me all of about 2 minutes. Tightened it down. I don't know the torque specs. I'm not an armor, but
sure. I'm sure it's on their website.
Yeah, I'm sure it's on their website. If not, we'll bug them, get it put on the website. But it's so don't. I guess what I'm saying is don't be afraid to if you're thinking about putting on a chassis, like, well, do I have to take it to a gunsmith? Sure, you can, absolutely, but it's something you can do with some basic tools in your garage or your room.
Or your barracks room.
Or your barracks room.
That never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited to shoot. Dude, S2Delta might not get this thing back. It might go missing in a tragic boating accident.
Dude, I don't know. I sent it back. I even put a stamp on it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it holds up tomorrow, accuracy-wise. That rifle, being built by a custom precision gunsmith, does hold a, 1/4-inch group at 100 yards. And then we'll shoot it on Matt's gun. And I do want to just take it off, throw it on my gun, and see if there's even any kind of zero shift. I'm sure there will be if we don't get the torque, just the exact same. But still, I know what this gun's capable of. Matt knows what that gun's capable of.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they honestly compare and that accuracy holds up.
Yeah, I mean, really, it shouldn't be anything. Worst case scenario is difference in length of pull shift, but there shouldn't be. I mean, it's a free floating barrel. It's a heavy barrel. That one looks like that's a pretty heavy barrel. So, but no, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to see.
We'll find out and see if 260 Remington's better than 6.5.
Which is not. Everybody knows that it's not, but
it's the same bullet.
It's a little better.
Literally the same bullet. I just have more access to brass than you do.
That is true.
I'll just take some 308 and neck it down. It'll be all right.
Yeah. If anyone's got any good deals, let me know.
Cool. Well, we'll see you on the range tomorrow.
Boom! Wipe out.
You good, buddy? All right.
Hey, Everett. What are we doing today, bud? We shooting?
What are we doing? Tell them.
We're shooting.
What are we shooting?
Targets.
Targets?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are they super far targets?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's cool.
Are we going to shoot him with Daddy's elk gun that we shot?
Yeah.
You want to tell Matt? You want to tell Mr. Matt about our elk hunt?
We have to be very quiet on our elk hunt, and then we shot it.
Then you shot it? Were you very quiet?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you help Daddy get it?
Yeah, and Daddy wasn't being very quiet. He just spooked the elk.
Daddy wasn't being very quiet?
Yeah, I was pretty
He's telling on you.
Right, Daddy doesn't know how to stalk, but my 5-year-old does.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're an expert stalker, aren't you?
Yeah.
Sweet.
So back here at the range, excuse me, back here at the range, today we're actually going to be testing some zeros, kind of seeing the fit and finish. Right now we're going to, just on the bench, sling some rounds down range before we get into alternate shooting positions. That was a good one? That was a good one.
It was. Yeah, so we're out here confirming zero on our guns. Matt just threw his rifle on the S2Delta RSC chassis. So we'll just make sure that it's zeroed nice and good before we go out to distance. We're only going out to about 450 yards today on about an 8-inch gong. So nothing too challenging. Something that this rifle should be able to hit. So we're just going to confirm our zeros real quick before we get up to our barricade shooting.
Yep. So I've shot chassised rifles. I've shot stock rifles before, so I'll do a 5-round group here. Now we can get into marksmanship later, but you never really want to shoot hard on hard, so that's why we have these bags here. Ideally, it's nice. Yeah, so just off the rip, like I was saying yesterday, this bag, just being able to scoot it back, helping me with that extra elevation. Scooting it forward. And what I'm looking for, especially on zero, well, all shots really, is that natural point of aim. I can step away from the rifle, even though the bipods aren't deployed. I'm not, the gun isn't toppling over. I'm not muscling it to wherever it's aiming. I think this length of pull needs to adjust, but I think I'm good with that 3-round group, but I do need to adjust that. One of the things we were talking about a minute ago was that recoil difference in your mitigation going from one system to another. This one is substantially lighter. However, I didn't personally feel a huge difference. Now Parker's going to shoot it, give his initial thoughts. Yeah.
That's about the same.
But first 2 rounds on that, what do you think?
Like you said earlier, I thought that it being a lighter chassis would have a more stronger recoil impulse, but it's comparable, especially so that the muzzle brake on my 260 is a very efficient muzzle brake, so there's hardly any recoil, and I can usually spot my own trace at a distant target. This one, it feels extremely comparable to that as well. All right, you're good.
So we're able to do this here at Legacy Ranch. You can see that we've got benches. This is one of many of the ranges that we have. We have a 100-yard area that we can go ahead and do things like this, zero, and then make sure we're on paper. That way we're not chasing rounds. When we're trying to sling them at steel, we can ensure that, start here, get the wiggles out, make sure our fundamentals are solid. But we will be going to our alternate shooting positions here in a sec.
All right, spotter up.
Okay, I'm gonna go for the And size plate.
Okay. Impact center. Cool.
Shooter ready.
Stand by. Beep.
Oh yeah, I knocked it down.
Impact center. Impact center. Beep. Impact. Impact. Impact.
Nice.
The chassis is not cumbersome, it's not heavy, it's not bulky, it's not getting in the way of my movement. I really enjoy that. It's a nice flat, stable platform. I bet, you know what? Let's do this again without.
No bags.
So I'm gonna do this again without bags. Again, hard on hard is not ideal, but this has a nice flat shooting surface, and I wanna feel this barricade stop just to see what that's gonna feel like at that pivot point. So here we go. Try it again.
Shooter ready. Stand by. Impact. Impact. Oh, that was a good shot. Impact. So we just got done shooting a little bit. We did some zeroing and shot at some steel at various distances, various size and shape steel, off of our cell phone signal.
Barricade.
Yeah, barricade.
Yeah.
Cell phone signal barricade. What are your thoughts? So at first we kind of went through stuff that you liked, stuff that you wanted to see, but now having shot it, and this we didn't put like thousands of rounds downrange or anything like that. But now that you have had a couple of rounds, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, my initial impressions were I was incredibly impressed with this chassis, especially at its price point, at just $500. It's now that I've gotten a chance to get behind it and shoot it, it is worth more than $500. I can tell you that. It compares to the other chassis out on the market that are easily double or triple the price of it. So this is a really solid chassis. It's very accurate. We were still able to hold a standard 108 group, and again, we didn't spend hundreds or even thousands of rounds on this gun, but we shot it a couple times at zero just to make sure we were hitting and get a feel for it initially. But it hits above its weight in for its price point especially. So incredibly impressed. Some of my critiques, if you will, or some things I would have liked to have seen, most of them are kind of gone out the window. The two that kind of still remain are I wish this barricade stop up here was a little bit more pronounced, just to give you a little bit more purchase on the barricade so you can push up against it. As well as, at least on this rifle, because it has a suppressor and a long bull barrel, its balance point is kind of up here and not more towards the magwell. So because of that, I would like to have the option to put some rear weights on the buttstock that comes with it. I do like the buttstock a lot, and I want to support the company. I like the design. It's very comfortable. So you can remedy that by buying an additional, or just buying just the chassis and no buttstock, and then going and buying your own buttstock that does have the ability to put some weights on it. But I mean, that. It looks like this little gap. Maybe they could machine something and make their own weights for it. I don't know. But those are my only two critiques for it. They're really very small critiques, because everything else, this thing is incredibly comfortable to shoot. It's very accurate, and it's incredibly light. It really is. And this isn't even the lightest version they make. Their MG light is only a pound.
Yeah, so. I can't wait to get that MG and shoot with that.
Yeah. But basically, we're gonna end this review, and I'm gonna call S2Delta and place an order for one of these.
Yeah.
That's how it's gonna go.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, shooting it, I think one of the things that I had mentioned yesterday was just the weight and how the recoil is going to change. And I was actually really surprised with the recoil management. I think what helps is this healthy sized buttstock, or this that pad back there. Had no problems with follow-on shots. It really ate that recoil quite nicely. We were using the S2Delta bags as well to shoot with, but yeah, I would agree with that. So one of the things that we talked about was this center point where this gravity is. It's a little bit further in front of. It's a little bit further in front of the magwell than I would like to see it. But I'm also wrestling. Truth be told, if that's just a personal preference, because
Sure.
we still got it to balance.
Sure, absolutely.
Just fine.
Yep.
I at this point in time, I would still like to see that, but that's not really an S2 Delta thing. It's more of the setup as a whole. And to your point, like you were saying earlier, I would like to see the option to get some weights in that stock, but the modularity of everything, there's really sky's the limit.
Yeah.
On that, so
for a drop-in chassis for $500, ease of installation is 2 bolts in 2 minutes kind of thing. Ease of installation is incredible. Again, I keep saying this, I sound like a broken record, but for its price point of only $500, this thing shoots well above that worth. That's for sure. And a side note, the S2 front and rear bags that we were using today, they're great. They're super comfortable. I like the option where you can clip it to your gun, and so you can just have quick transitions in your barricades or in your positions. And that rear bag marries up really well with this kind of sled. So if you just need to decrease elevation, just slide it back. If you need to increase elevation, just slide it forward. That's pretty nifty too.
Yeah.
So I like it. Overall, incredibly impressed with S2 Delta. They've done their homework. They've done the research on all of this, and they've created a really solid product that I think is worth noting.
Yep, I agree. So
Awesome.
all right, well, that concludes it.